Hi, hello. I couldn't decide which one to say. And welcome to Oh What a Marvel. And we are talking about everyone's favorite tormented anti-hero who likes to go around at night time beating people up. Everybody, this is our Morbius spoiler review. Of course, we're talking episode 2 of Moon Knight. I don't have the title of the episode at
It's
hand. I did not
Summon the Suit.
summon the suit.
Yeah.
Yes. And oh boy, I'm just gonna say it. Like I really like this episode. This was
Yeah.
shaping up really nicely for me. And I'm hearing like a bit of discourse online though. It seems like this show seems to be dividing some people. I don't know if you're hearing that, or
Yeah,
if that's
that's what
just
I've
my
heard.
circle.
Yeah. I hear I keep hearing people like complaining about the CGI, complaining about in this episode specifically the humor when he's like in the suit, kind of like comparing him to like Deadpool and stuff. I'm just like,
Hmm.
he just can't please anybody, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I do think a big part of the controversy is seems to be with people who are like hardcore fans of the Moon Knight comics.
Mm.
And I think I mean I don't want to jump ahead, but we'll jump around because
Yeah,
we're
sure.
talking about it. Um, so with the whole Mr. Knight suit thing, he's from like a more recent run in the comics, and I haven't read that run. I've read a few of the runs. I read like the early 2000s. Charlie Houston, I think it's Charlie Houston and David something. It doesn't matter. I read their run. I read the Bendis run, but I never read this Mr. Knight stuff. But what I can assume is the case is that because Moon Knight is just an unhinged, brutal, beat you in the face a million times vigilante, right? What I'm assuming is that the Mr. Knight persona in the comics is probably more of like a calculated, like collected extension of the Moon Knight persona. So I can understand if people are a little bit upset that they're kind of made him more like, because the way that it's presented is like that Stephen Grant's like version of like where he's
Yeah.
tried to manifest the Moon Knight and he's made this quirky suit wearing version, which doesn't necessarily mean that that's the only way we're going to see that version. That version could come back round. Mark Spector could maybe use that form later down the line. I think they
Yeah.
just, because the iconography of that suit is become really big in the comics community. I think they just
Oh, okay.
really wanted to get that suit in there.
I get that.
Personally,
I've never
go
read
on.
any of the comics, so like
Yeah,
it had no ties to me at all.
yeah,
I thought it was fun, and it fit kind of like what I would expect
yeah,
Steven to kind of come up with, you know.
yeah. It made sense in the context, and I enjoyed it. I mean, maybe it would have been cool to have just had them kind of go with the regular Moon Knight for like the first season, and then maybe kind of push the boundaries and do different like versions of the suit and stuff in future seasons.
Yeah.
But they wanted to get it in there because it does look really cool, and it worked for where we are with Steven. So with that, we'll loop back round to the beginning, and he's waking up in his bed again. He's tripping over the thing, and with the foot chain, I was going to ask you, Josh. So he must lock it, right?
I
And
mean,
he has to
I would
leave
hope so.
and he has to leave the key within reach of where he is.
Yeah.
Mark would find that. Surely he must find that every time because there's only so much ground you need to cover. It's just
Yeah.
the radius around you. It's going to be around the bed somewhere.
Hmm.
Like, is that really working? Or is
Obviously
it a
not.
combination lock
Yeah.
that Stephen only knows the combination to? These are
I
the
don't. Yeah. I
questions.
mean, I don't think it's a combination lock, but I don't
Doesn't look
know.
like
Honestly,
it.
I'm not sure if they ever actually showed him specifically unlocking it.
No, they don't. I checked
Okay.
because I've watched it like 2.5 times now. Um, but anyway, he's got to get to work, and as we know from last week's episode, he did not leave that place in a good in a good place, really.
Yeah.
So we're like, how is he going to handle this? And he just goes straight in there. He just goes to the security guy, and he's just like, look, we need to watch the tape.
Yeah.
He's just going to lean straight into it.
Well, I mean,
And
he really thought that there was going to be evidence on this thing, of all the shit that he saw.
yeah, rightly
Yeah.
so, because a lot of shit kind of goes down. And, obviously he does have his mental health problems, so maybe it could be less real than he perceives. But, as I've said before, they try and maintain the mystery of, is it real, is it not real? We do have the advantage of knowing that the show is called Moon Knight, so we know he's fucking Moon Knight. There's no way
Yeah.
around that. So I'm expecting to see Moon Knight on the footage as well. I'm like, well, he's just, out with the identity. Like, let's just get this known so I can try and, get help and figure this out.
Yeah.
But we don't see any of it.
Yeah.
There's no giant jackal, as we find out we're calling them now, and we don't see him in the Moon Knight costume either.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, it makes me wonder, like, does anybody see him in the outfit?
well, this is what I was going to say, because later on in the episode, when they're fighting in the street and the bus, the jackal is invisible to everyone but Moon Knight.
Yeah.
But it seems that the people on the bus can see him getting smashed up against the window as Moon Knight, so they can see it.
That's true. Yeah.
But he doesn't.
She sees
yeah,
Mr. Knight suit, so like,
yeah, everyone
the
sees
suit is
that,
obviously visible, which
but yet he doesn't show up on the security footage, and neither does the jackal. But nobody can see the jackal, but they can see Moon Knight later on. So I'm not sure if that's like just a logic hole, or for convenience, or if there's actually something to that.
I don't know.
Is Moon Knight
the jackal,
able to mask himself from
at least with
cameras?
the jackal, it's they're kind of keeping it the same. Nobody can see it, so it makes sense that they can't see it on the camera. It's really it's more about why can't they see him in the suit on the camera.
Yeah, I mean, he's powered by God, so we don't know kind of where his abilities extend to. Maybe he's able to just kind of like magically mask himself from being seen on the cameras.
Yeah, maybe.
It's very Fight Club, because when we get the reveal at the end of Fight Club, and we see our boy Jack getting dragged across in the car park, and the security footage, and he thought he was getting dragged by somebody, but he's not. He's just dragging himself.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it doesn't really make sense that you would be able to drag yourself like that, but for the sake of like just the visual medium, it's just an easy way to like show the audience like how the character's like perceiving the situation. So maybe it's just a stylistic choice for that purpose. But maybe we'll find out.
Yeah, maybe.
But anyway, security guy's like, well, I've got to send you to HR now. They're not gonna like this. And we get a great line. We get so many great lines in this episode. There's one with the security guard where he's saying how this is going to melt your mind. This is, MI6 bonkers, bruv. All of this stuff is absolutely killing me. And then they send him to the HR. And then the HR guy says, look, you're not alone. And he says, well, that's part of the problem. Like... And I don't know if that goes too far into like I thought that was, as far as making a joke out of a serious problem, I thought that was tastefully done as it can be, at least. But who knows? Maybe some of the stuff is going to rub people the wrong way. Maybe they're going to go too far with the humor of like the with the personalities and stuff. But I think that was more just the first episode to ease us into it, because we definitely go way more serious for this episode.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I think is a good thing. There's none of that like weird, like random, like really bright scene halfway through the episode for like a chase or something. That was really distracting. But
Yeah.
we stay dark, and lots of mirrors. We get a really big mirror motif, like we're using that as a visual representation of him, like seeing the different sides of himself. When he gets fired from the job, he has to hand in the name tag, which I thought was a nice little foreshadow of, like, he's going to have to hand in this Steven personality and give it over to the Mark, and we get the reflection in the table.
Yep.
So I'm really digging all of that stuff. Like, it could be on the nose, but I think it's just shot and just done just enough and tastefully enough that it's not taking me out.
Yeah.
So then, what do you do when you get fired, Josh? You need to talk to somebody. You find a statue man in the park.
I love this dude, man. It's funny because, like, when he gives him the hug, because he's talking about all this stuff, and he doesn't move, he doesn't flinch or anything. He gives him the hug, and he like turns his head and looks toward him. I thought that was just a great little subtle thing that they did with that.
Yeah, it was. I was quite touched when he acknowledged him, because he was clearly able to, like, not move even when he was being, like, talked to and everything and hugged. But he made the choice of, like, yeah, I'm going to give you a little eye, just so you know that I feel you, bro.
Yeah.
So I love that. But then
I wonder if there's something more that's gonna happen with this guy later on. Or
I
if it's
hope
just
not.
gonna
They
be
better
these
not.
kinds of scenes.
It better not be the thing where he's the guy that gets killed in, like, the penultimate episode to really push him over the edge. Like, I'm gonna get this guy now.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah.
Yeah, if Ethan Hawke wants to find another way to piss me off, he better try and fuck with the statue man. Try and fuck with the statue man.
Yes.
But the statue man does give Steven the idea of the storage locker, because he's got the key or the tag thing for the storage locker. So he runs around to a whole bunch of these different places.
Yeah, I love it. He's like, I've been to 5 different branches. I was like, damn.
Because when he first walked in, my immediate thought was, how does he know which one it was straight away? And he's like, nah, I've been to 5 other places. The guy's like, I know you. It's fine. I've got you. Don't worry about trying to explain the name thing.
Yeah.
Just going to take you straight down. We got the eerie corridors. The score in this episode, and the first episode as well, is just so good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually, like, even in some of the Marvel movies, I find the scores can just kind of get lost in all the kind of other excitement and stuff. And they have a hard time, I think, standing out with the scores in the MCU movies, as well as, like, trying to make them all so different when you've got so many different character themes at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm really digging all the music in this. Is like cinematic quality, and it's standing out. I'm not going to hum any for you right now, so don't put me on the spot. But we get all this suspenseful stuff as he's going through the corridors. Again, we've got all these blurred reflections, like,
like he's always there with him. It's just letting us know he's always there.
And depending on what kind of environment he's in, kind of dictates, like, how prominent we're seeing these reflections, and, like, which kind of gives you a sense of, like, what to expect.
Yeah.
In the upcoming scene, where we get to he gets to his room or his locker, and which he's made into a room because he's got a little camp bed in there, and he's got a gym bag full of money, passport, gun, and the scarab, of course. And then we get a nice heart-to-heart between Mark and Steven. We kind of clear things up a little bit. He doesn't care how handsome he is, which I thought was another fun little line. Like, they're really doing a good job of, like, sprinkling the humor in like a darkly, like, just a snarky, self-deprecating humor, which I thought was just handled really well, instead of, like, more of like the kind of like slapsticky stuff in the first episode.
Yeah,
But
that was something
again,
I
we
was
got to
worried
read them
about.
in.
Going into the first episode, I was worried that's what it was going to be, because like, what I knew of the character is that it's it's a darker kind of a character, and Marvel's kind of known for just throwing random jokes and stuff in where they probably shouldn't be. But I'm happy that we haven't really gotten a lot of that so far in these 2 episodes.
Yeah. Again, I think I definitely feel like that was a choice for the first episode to sprinkle in that nice shiny Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Before we really just start to go deeper with into the character's mind and also into like the general overarching story.
Yeah.
Um
I did think it was funny when he was like, you can just take a nap over on that bed. And because it's like, I mean, realistically, he's not going to be sleeping there for long, because if his body gets taken over, it's going to be up. But I just thought that was really, really funny. It's like, you go take a nap on that bed.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to bargain with him, and,
Yeah.
and he's not having it at all. He
No.
definitely doesn't want to give up. I'm gonna get into this now because he says things like, "No, you come into my life, you're ruining everything for me." Like, and he's kind of said a lot of things like in that kind of vein over the last 2 episodes, and I feel like he's alluding to the fact that Steven still thinks that he's the primary personality and that Mark is just something that took over for a little while and now he's back and now he's trying to come back again,
Yeah.
And I had the realization watching this episode, I think they're gonna fuck us up because I think at some point we're gonna have to watch Steven where the other shoe's gonna drop and he's gonna realize that he's the made up personality, he's not the original personality, and that might not be the case. I'm just assuming because in the comics, Mark Spector is the main dude, and all the other ones are the personas, and they might flip the script. But I think they're gonna Bing Bong us, like in Inside Out, where we had to say goodbye to Bing Bong.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna do something similar with Stephen Grant because he's so affable, right? And they've made him so like whimsical and lovable. And I think to watch him like come to terms with the fact of, because again, I'm going to jump forward, but at the end of the episode where he finally does give over control and he starts to say like, I don't like being in here, I can't do anything, like he's claustrophobic or something, which totally makes sense. And I think at some point he's gonna have to commit himself to to that as his life when he realizes that he's not the real one.
Well, because if you think about it, whenever Mark takes over, Steven's just gone. He's not locked inside knowing what's happening the way that Mark is. And Mark makes a comment at one point that
it's actually hard to do it.
Yeah, it's hard to do it, and he talks about how he made a deal. So it's like that made me think. Well, it made me think that same thing. Is he the primary? Because he had to have been around in order to make this deal. And I really want to know how it all kind of started. And I think you're right. I think they might swerve us and we might find out that it's been Mark the whole time.
But then, I mean, they could take it even further than that because I'm pretty sure there's other personalities as well in the comics. I couldn't tell you their names off the top of my head, but there are like a couple of other ones maybe. So then like we could get down the line and maybe Mark's not even the primary. Maybe there's another one that we haven't even met yet, like the original one that had to get locked away for the mercenary. Then we brought in Khonshu. Then we had to bring in Stephen Grant to balance all of that out. And then the original one maybe just keeps getting buried further and further down. There's a lot of stuff they could do with this. And if they went on into like, season 2 and 3 and all the different personas and, definitely opens it up.
I feel like if there is a deeper primary, he's probably psychotic. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's got to
And
be
just get worse
some.
as you go
Yeah,
down.
I feel like it's got to be something like big if that's the case. It can't just be like another guy like either of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it would have to be something else. And let's give Oscar Isaac another chance to flex,
Yeah,
because he's really nailing it. And the action is like so good, and it's like it's not like perfect, but I think like it works for the story that it's not exactly perfect, because it is Mark doing it. It's Mark doing an accent. He's not actually British, as far as we know. So I'm really enjoying. I'm really enjoying that. Um, and I maybe we just got used to it from the first episode, because the first episode I was like, yeah, the accent's good, but like the mannerisms are like maybe a bit too cartoonish.
yeah,
But I think it would. He's definitely like growing into the character. I don't know if they film these Disney Plus shows chronologically. I kind of feel like they might. For some reason in my head, it just tracks that that would be an easier thing to do for these shows than it would be to film a movie in
yeah, probably.
chronological order.
I mean, they might do
But
each episode kind of like scenes out of order, but I feel like they probably do the actual episodes in order. I would
yeah,
assume. I don't know.
yeah, something like that. Um, so he's running away from the storage locker. Khonshu's back talking shit to him
Yeah,
again, and then we
we get
get we
we get
get
a much better look at him in this episode too.
yeah, we really do. He looks fucking sick.
Yeah,
Like that thing is like terrifying, looming. Like
yeah,
he's like what 9 foot tall or something. He's
yeah,
not just like a big cloudy silhouette thing in the sky or just a voice in the head. They kind of just went with like that tall, skinny, creepy, gangly look, which I love.
oh yeah. I thought it was he looked badass. So I know some people were complaining and like comparing him to like the CW like stuff like CGI. I'm like,
Really?
I thought he looked really fucking good. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he looked great. Uh, I mean, I definitely get like Venom vibes from him. Just the way that like he kind of like puts him down in his head.
Yeah,
But also he's like, I do need your body, so I've got to kind of support you as well.
yeah,
Um, so I love that vibe. We get a great moment. We get a classic horror movie freeze frame scream from Oscar Isaac, which I thought was beautiful.
that was
And
another thing a lot of people were complaining about was the
it
freeze
did
frame.
it it did take me out, because they've not done anything else like that so
Yeah,
far in the series. It so it all like kind of almost took me out, but
yeah. Because like for
I
a second, I was like,
appreciated it.
did my Disney Plus freeze up for a second? That's what I thought
Yeah,
at
I thought the
first.
same thing, because
Yeah,
I watched it on my phone once, and I was like, "Is this just freeze framing?" But I watched
yeah,
it on the TV, and it's the same. It's just like, okay, no, that's intentional,
yeah.
and I do love it. But I'm a big fan of like that Sam Raimi crazy style.
Hmm.
Went to see Morbius and saw the Doctor Strange trailer on the big screen, and I was really appreciating all of like the visual flair that he's bringing to that movie. So when
Yeah,
I saw that moment in Moon Knight, I was like, yeah, all right, it's a little bit out of place, but I'm here for it. And maybe further on in the series, they'll do other like random weird little flourishes like that, and then it won't make that one seem so out of place
yeah, maybe.
in hindsight.
Yeah,
But we meet up with Layla. She's on a moped. Conveniently, she's got 2 helmets ready to go. I don't. This is a superhero show, so I don't want to be too nitpicky with the logic stuff. But she did have 2 helmets ready to go. It was rather
hey,
presumptuous.
you never know where you're gonna pick up a passenger.
I mean, she was following him,
That's true.
but I don't know. There's a lot of presumption to have to carry another helmet when you're riding as well.
Yeah,
It seems like
I mean, and
yeah,
I don't
it's
know because like
convenient.
I've never ridden one of a bike like that. I don't know if it has any sort of storage compartment. Maybe it was just in
Maybe
there
it
if there
does.
was one. Other than that, yeah, that would be really kind of awkward to just be carrying around an extra helmet.
And if we're gonna go down this rabbit hole, she should have brought another helmet for Mark as well. But she didn't think about that
Yeah,
because she doesn't know. because she's not believing for a second. She thinks that this is an act,
Yeah.
and he's been riding on the moped, and he's being all awkward, right, clumsy, trying to hold onto her shoulders and stuff. And she's like, "Can you not do that?" And then there's this really subtle, tiny little moment where he like really like tenderly puts his hands like around her, like,
Hmm.
and you can tell from like the way that he does it, it's like a muscle thing, like he knows her,
Yeah.
like he's done it before. And then that's right before she casually drops the information that they're married.
Hmm.
And I just thought that was such a really cool thing to show. And they do that a whole bunch throughout this episode. These just tiny little foreshadows, and they can come like a few seconds before a a plot point or an event, or they
Yeah.
can come like minutes, or you know, and loop back around later on in the episode.
Yeah.
And I just think they're doing a really good job of that, and it kind of is a nice like symbol for kind of like how he's slowly like learning things in a weird kind of order and piecing things together and
Yeah.
finding new parts of himself and like the people around him.
Yeah.
So
I think with all that, the writing is fantastic.
so
The way
good.
they were able to kind of put those types of things in there, and then the directing, because they got to be able to put it all together the right way. I don't know. I thought it was all really well done.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite for what they were doing in Morbius. I hate to go there, but Morbius has really, just to sidetrack, Morbius has really great performances, but just the writing is just so bad, and it just lets it down so hard. And it's these kind of little flourishes and details that, you know, it doesn't need to be big operatic, like emotionally gut-wrenching character arcs. It's just these tiny little moments that you can sprinkle in that don't
Yeah.
cost anything. They just take a little bit of thought and care,
Yeah.
and it just elevates your product to to different levels. And we get back to the apartment. We're getting Mark in the windows. He's like, "Don't get her involved in this." Like, but Steven's like, "I'm reconnecting with her. You know, I think she's the only one that can help me. I kind of want to show her the bag of stuff." But she's still not believing it. And you got to think, right? She was married. If she's married to this guy, we don't know for how long. But was there never any hint that he had like mental health issues? Like, or did she think that he was like a professional actor in their actual lives? Because that would be one hell of a performance, right?
Yeah.
What
That's
what
what
what Mark is
that's what
putting
makes me
on.
think that I think Mark actually is the primary, and that maybe he didn't always suffer from this. Because like I don't know, we don't really know a lot about Steven uh and his past. So like
There's been a
he
couple of hints of like him talking to his mum, and
yeah.
was he talking to her? Was he not talking to her? I think
Is all of
I
his past, his
yeah.
quote unquote past, made up and just kind of in his head? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Who
I feel like
knows?
there's going to be, just we see him like making phone calls to his mum in the first episode, and then when she says in this episode about, "Oh, you're talking to your mum again," he kind of has this weird look. So I don't know if
Yeah.
we're going to get like a Norman Bates thing, like where the mum's dead and he's not talking to anyone, or you know, there's going to be some spooky little twist in there with the mum. Is that just another is the mum just another persona that he's developed? You know, they could do that.
Yeah.
and and again, with sprinkling all these like classic horror movie tropes into this, that would be a perfect kind of angle to drop in there, and wouldn't be as weird as you would think it would be weird to say that we're going to turn Moon Knight into Norman Bates, because that's what the fans want. You think they're complaining now? You wait till he's wearing his mum's nightwear and he's stalking you in the shower. Yeah, you
Yep.
want to see Moon Knight in a shower cap? Is that what you want? Lufin.
There it is. Let's
There
do
you
it.
go. That's the version that you want.
We'll call him Shower Knight.
Shower Knight. You know, because that's all you need. Just one shower night a week.
Yep.
Keep you going. She gets the bag. She sees the scarab. She's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I see how it is. You were hiding this from me." So we find out that they was working together to try and get this thing. So now she thinks he's trying to double cross her and divorce her, which would be brutal. Like he just
Yeah.
married her just to get closer to this scarab. Like that'd make him even more of a villain than Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
But
Man.
we don't get time to figure this out because we get the fake police show up. And
yeah.
I know
Yep.
I know that Stephen is a bit of a noob for all this stuff, but he knows that there are like culty people after him, and he still jumps to the conclusion that the police are coming to arrest him for destroying a bathroom.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, really, Stephen? Like they did have like fake badges as well, but come on, man. Think.
Yeah.
I thought
He
that was a
doesn't
bit
play it
lame.
very smart at times, so
No, and I get that he's not supposed to be savvy,
yeah.
but again, he's already aware that there's, Mark's literally just told him there's people that will come and kill her and mess you up for this scarab. Stop telling people stuff. And then there's a knock at the door, and he's like, "Hey," and the way the guy barges in is pretty obnoxious. So there's definitely fault on both sides. But she jumps out Lena jumps out the window. He gets a fake arrested. They've got the police computer database system though, so they've got that, which is great because that means we get some backstory on Mark Spector now and the mercenary days and him doing some job in Egypt, executing people, which is all stuff from like the comics, So we're sprinkling some of that stuff in there, which I thought was handled
do we
really well.
think that he was already the Avatar at this point? That he was already Moon Knight, or is this maybe like where like that mission or whatever is when he
that
makes
mission?
the deal?
I believe is where shit goes down. I'm not familiar with the details. I haven't read much of like the classic Moon Knight stuff. So as far as I'm aware, there's a job in Egypt. There's double crosses going on. He gets left for dead, and then that's when Khonshu appears to him and says, "I'll give you a second chance at life if you become my avatar."
So kind of like Ghost Rider.
Yeah, it's a bit Ghost Ridery. They're out in Egypt, so I don't know if these executions take place, and then maybe one of the other guys that he's doing this job with then turns on him, and then shoots him, or wounds him, and then tries to make off with the money or whatever the loot is.
Yeah.
And then he has the visions of Khonshu that saves him, and again that could all be it could be different, but they've sprinkled enough of that in there now. It's like, okay, we're gonna get like the classic Moon Knight stuff. Like we're coming into it from a weird angle that some of the fans aren't used to, but we do have the space in that to still play with like the classic origin, and I do think we're going to get that. I think this show's only going to go deeper and darker.
Yeah.
And jumping ahead once more because just like poor Stephen's mind, I'm just back and forth. But we do go to Egypt at the end of the episode as well, so I think that would be a perfect setup for us to then get like some flashbacks and
that would
maybe
be cool.
have Mark like explaining to Stephen like, okay, here you go, here's the story so far.
I wonder if we'll get to see any of Ethan Hawke as Moon Knight, because like he said that he was the Avatar before. So I'd be interested in seeing something like some flashback of that and seeing how that kind of came about, how he lost it, like why he was why he's no longer the Avatar. That'd be interesting.
I'd like to see it, but I don't know if he'd do it because Ethan Hawke hates superheroes.
Yeah, well,
He'll only be the
now
villain.
he's getting paid to be in one. So.
But yeah, no. If he wants to, if they want to do a scene or just a couple of shots of that, I'd be pretty down.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't really make a difference. It's just Moon Knight. You can't see the face.
I want to know what happened that made Khonshu decide, you're not good enough anymore. I'm moving on.
Yeah,
You know, like
because
I'm curious about that.
You would assume that they just disagree, but then from what we see, Khonshu just fucking, even the people that he does bond with, he's just giving them shit all the time.
Yeah.
So he just likes to have beef, I guess. So I don't think this like moral or ethical disagreements is really a deal breaker for Khonshu. I don't think it matters what your politics are.
Yeah.
You just need,
as long as you're doing the job,
something. You need something that we're not sure what, if there is a specific quality or if it's just, like right place, right time kind of situation.
Yeah.
You're bleeding out in Egypt. Here I am. It's time.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Or we'll find out how kind of Ethan Hawke got involved with it in the first place.
Yeah. I hope so. I worry that like 6 episodes isn't going to be enough almost, but I have faith that they can do it, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like there's a lot more meat here than something like Hawkeye, where you could really get into it.
Yeah.
But then, because of the nature of like this kind of story, you can reveal the information in a non-linear fashion. So you could do like season 2 and 3, and you're still like filling out all of that backstory, throughout the show still, and it's not feeling like too much of a slow burn, and they're mixing it up. So they could jump around like we have, take note.
Yes.
So it'd be cool, but I've not really heard much on if we're getting a season 2. Some of this stuff they're like quick to announce season 2 when season 1's already out. Other times they wait a bit. And
I feel like with the Marvel shows, I don't think they've done that with any of them. Have they announced the season 2 while season 1 was still going? Because I mean, most of their shows don't even get a season 2.
I think Loki, it was like either during or right after.
Okay.
Like as the last episode was coming out, so maybe they wouldn't have. I think
I know
like the Star Wars stuff.
I know what if
more.
they did after. After season 1.
Maybe I'm just thinking more like the Star Wars shows. They've been quick to announce like season 2s. Even with Obi-Wan, there's already been like rumblings. As soon as the trailer come out, they're like, well, maybe we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
And like Bad Batch and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So who knows? Then he might just make the jump into movies and just start popping up in movies. I don't know how kind of fluid the back and forth of that is going to be moving forward once like we've had a couple of years for these shows to like gestate a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, new kind of characters start coming out in the movies and how much they're going to start.
I wonder if we'll get like a Midnight Suns show with like Moon Knight and Blade and Werewolf by Night and all that stuff. So
I would love that as I would love that as a movie personally, but I'd take the show obviously. But I think if all of the shows is successful enough, and Blade's going to be a movie as well, so if some of the characters in there will be like established as movie properties from the get-go, and then you could fill out the like the supporting cast with your Moon Knights, your Daredevils, and all of this kind of stuff.
I wouldn't be surprised. Did you watch Eternals?
Yeah, I really.
I wouldn't be surprised if Black Knight winds up in this Midnight Suns thing.
He would fit in there totally. He fits in there a lot more than he fits in trying to fight a Celestial. I mean, Black Knight is like a mythical, ancient, fucking powerful dude, but he's still just a dude on a horse with a sword. That's gonna. And at the end of Eternals, he's ready to go fight some Celestial.
Yeah.
with a sword. There's not even a horse. How's he gonna get up there to the Celestial with a? Oh, now I've got a magical sword. It's on now, bitch. No, shut up, Dane. Let the
Yeah.
Eternals deal with this.
Yeah.
Winged horse or not, you're on the bench, son.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Um, but anyway, so we get to the Ethan Hawke Socialist Village, which is all seeming lovely, but we of course we know it's not going to stay lovely,
Yeah. No.
and you know everyone's like watching a brainwashy video. He's going on about this logic, this like Minority Report logic of like we've got to kill people before they commit the crime, otherwise evil will never end. And I don't care if I've got to kill some kids to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
we're
love
doing all this.
how Steven just kind of goes kind of at him about you know, are you gonna kill kids and all that stuff. I
Yeah,
thought that was
he's
great.
not holding back now. He's definitely being more assertive.
Yeah.
You know, even if it is kind of like with like goofy, like he's still got his own mannerisms, but he's definitely like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of had enough of this shit. I might as well just start saying what I think. You know, I haven't really got much to lose at this point. And
Yeah.
hey, the fucking moon god's probably going to save me anyway if anything happens, so that's fine. But then Ethan Hawke got a magical object of his own, so
It's true.
you know he whips out the old purple glowing staff. He's doing a spell, not sure what he's doing. He's summoning the another jackal. Moon Knight or should I say Steven and Layla are trying to escape. She's busting out some serious action moves, which I
Yeah.
thought was cool. So some of that action was great. Then jumping out the window and through the wooden panels and all that classic stuff was great. She wants Moon Knight to come out. Mark wants to come out to help, but he doesn't want to quite give it up.
Yeah.
So then he's trying to activate the Moon Knight himself, which he does right as he lands from a fall, and we get Mr. Knight,
Yeah.
which is Moon Knight in a suit and tie, which again, as I said before, is a thing more recent from the comics that they
I actually
clearly
didn't
just
think we were
wanted
going
to
to
get
get
in
it this
there.
early in the season. I thought it would
No,
be a
I
couple
didn't.
episodes because, like, we see, we got like images of it before the show came out, but
Yeah,
I thought it would be like maybe episode 4 or something.
yeah. I still think that and again, I'm not overly familiar with that stuff, but I still think they should have kept that in their back pocket for a later season.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a cool evolution to just have happen later on throughout the show, presuming, of course, that it progresses to like a season 2 and 3 and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think, to be honest, when studios do that, where they like throw everything from like a character's history into the first movie or series, I think it just shows lack of faith that they're not sure if they're going to get another series or movie.
Yeah.
Because Aquaman did the same thing, right? They just threw all the villains and all the like storylines from the comics, like, and just amalgamated them all into that first one. Because like, hey, we're not sure if we're gonna get another Aquaman movie, so we might as well do all the stuff. Yeah, and I feel like we've seen a lot of like newer properties kind of do that, and it just whips a tiny little bit of LDE. Just take your time, hold some things back. We will want more. If you
Oh
hold
yeah.
something back for us to want, we'll come back for it. If we
Yeah.
know it's there, you know, sprinkle it in, sell it up, hint at it, post credit the shit out of me, whatever you need to do. But you don't need to give us the whole sausage with the
Yeah.
first bite. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I
But again, it
absolutely
was
agree.
fun. I liked seeing it. I didn't mind that he was all like jokey and dancey and like bantery and like slightly incompetent until he gets that one really fucking sick haymaker
Yeah.
on the jackal. Oh, that was a
Well,
satisfying
he like takes
punch.
the coat off, rolls up the sleeves, he's ready to go.
Yeah, he's
I
like
love that.
barroom brawling with this thing.
Yeah.
Like, bring it on. And then it goes it goes a bit south. He's getting his face smashed into a bus. And it's not going so well. And then Mark comes out with probably the best thing that he's ever said in his life. The perfect argument of, look around you. You're not doing that great. People are going to get hurt unless you let me help. Like,
Yep.
so he's playing into, playing up to Steven's good nature. So he's like, yeah, fine, you're right. Let's seal this deal. Let's get this shit done. And then we get the transformation into the classic Moon Knight.
Which is
And we're
so
getting,
awesome.
he's climbing up the building. He's doing some classic rooftop jumping.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that we want. And we had to wait till not only the end of the movie, but 3 Spider-Man movies to get that classic, street level running through the rooftops and the alleyways superhero stuff.
Yeah.
And all the superhero properties these days, because there's so many, everyone's trying to like do something different and do their own spin on it. But sometimes I just want a classic man in a cape jumping across a rooftop. Just give it to me.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
you can have your Eternal spanning thousands of years and your Suicide Squads of your unknown D-list characters, but sometimes I just want a dude in a cape jumping from one building to another, and it looks so good. He's got
Absolutely.
the crescent darts coming off of the chest that he's using to like climb and also like throw them around. Because even Batman's not doing this stuff anymore, Josh.
Right?
He just walks into bullets.
Yeah, he totally does. And like he can, at least in this new Batman, he can take off the bat thing. It's like
he can do that.
A pair of knives, and he could have been using them all movie.
We get one grappling hook shot and a really lame wingsuit. It's like we're just nerfing Batman because
and no
we want to
batarangs.
make everything batarangs because we want to make everything so gritty and relatable. And Moon Knight, people used to say that Moon Knight was like a Marvel rip-off of Batman, but sorry, Batman, you just took back second seat now because Moon Knight is in, and he's got the gadgets, he's got the jumps, he's even got like I don't know if it was just me, and I'm going to say this and it's going to sound like an insult, but it's not. But the music for this scene reminded me of like Joel Schumacher Batman music.
Oh
like,
yeah,
and those movies, say what you want about them, I think the scores for those movies are really good. Yeah. They're not Elfman, they're their own thing, but I really love those scores, and I definitely felt that, like almost like vaudevillian, like operatic.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of like the street level and the dark stuff these days, they kind of tend to go more like for the electronic, gritty, grimy, industrial sound almost.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have some more like orchestral stuff, but it's got some of that Eastern flavor from like the Egyptian, elements and stuff. Jackal lands on a spike. He's gone. Moon Knight takes care of him real fucking quick. However, Hawk does get away with the Scarab, and Steven's now getting claustrophobic and he's all trapped, and I'm sad. But we're going to Egypt next week.
Yeah.
So anything you want to add to this, Josh?
After the Jackal and Steven is trapped inside, we get a great scene where
Mark loses his shit.
He loses shit and just like destroys the mirror. He just starts smashing it.
Yeah,
it was intense.
Unhinged. Yeah, it was brutal. And I think they wanted to show that he's just as, he's not like the put together like superhero version of Steven. He's just as broken, just in his own way. They're two very different like fragments of a person.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, you're right with that scene. I really, really felt that. It didn't feel like they went too hard. It wasn't like Kingpin in the car door brutal. Because windows aren't as important as people anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've earned like going to this level. Like if they would have just come out with like that level of darkness from the get-go in episode 1, I think a lot of people would have been like, oh, okay, you're trying to do Daredevil light, with a quirky British accent.
Yeah.
and we're not buying it. But kind of swinging into it like out of left field, like they have done, I think has really done a good job for the show, and I'm hoping that we just keep going down this rabbit hole. But at least things are going to be physically a bit brighter next week. If we're in Egypt, we're going to have some sun. We're going to see some sand. Maybe climb some pyramids, and probably go on a mercenary mission and backstab and murder and get involved into a deep mystical conspiracy. Any final thoughts, Josh? We've been going nearly an hour.
I'm really excited to see where this goes, because there's so many possibilities that we can get out of it, and having them go to Egypt now, I'm really excited to see what they do next. So I'm really liking the show quite a bit. So hopefully it keeps on going and ups that level. So
I love the line as well. It's like, where are we going? Where do you think? And then just cuts to Egypt. It's like, oh yeah, of course, we're going to Egypt.
And
I
wonder,
really
because I feel like if Steven ever takes control again, he's never giving it back. You know what I mean? Now that he knows what it's like to be trapped inside, I have a hard time believing he would ever give it back.
But he's gonna have to sleep eventually, right? He can stay awake for like a few days at a time, but he's gonna have to sleep.
That's true.
Mark is a mercenary. He can get out of the leg cuff thing.
Yeah,
I think quite easily. I would imagine that he does, and then he just, when he's finished doing what he needs to do, sorting out his storage locker and setting up his camp bed, and then he just goes back, gets in the other bed, and just ties the leg back up, right?
Yeah,
and then that keeps Steven unaware that up until this point that because Mark was doing stuff, he was arranging dates and filing for divorce, so he's been active. It's just that Steven's only just recently become aware that he's still active. And of course the biggest question is, what was it that made Steven come out in the first place? If he was, or is a personality that has developed later on, like, was it because Mark was, it appears that Mark was already like Moon Knight before Steve kind of and then like went away for a little while, then Steve comes out, gets the job at the museum and everything. So what happened, that made him be like, fuck this, I've been a mercenary, I've been Moon Knight, I'm just done, I need to lock this away? Or is Steven just a result of him having to deal with Khonshu and all the other stuff, and Steven's just pushed himself out and taken over for a period of time as a self-defense mechanism of like, dude, you need to stop fucking with the vengeance, you're gonna go over the edge,
A
lot of good questions that I'm interested to find out.
A lot of good questions, and hopefully we'll get a lot of good answers.
So. Man, do you want to tell the people where they can find us? Or you?
Oh, yes, you can find me at MovieBlogMerc on Twitter. That's where I post all my stuff there. Right here on the YouTube channel, if that's where you're watching it. Be sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, click that little bell. You get notified for all the other shows that we post here. And where can they find you, man?
You can go and get me on Twitter at Dean Lewis 2099, where I post funny things sometimes, and nobody reads them every time. And other than that, you can find me here every week talking about Moon Knight. We're probably going to be talking Obi-Wan. We're doing all the good stuff that the people love, because we like to make the people love us by proxy, because that's why we're on the internet. Have a good night.
Catch you guys next time.
Peace.